Welcome back to the Remedial Film Class podcast, and welcome to our Christmas season episodes. George, are you feeling the season?
Yeah.
Travis, are you feeling the
totally.
reason?
Yeah. But I
Okay.
mean, what was it? October 31st at midnight into
12:01.
the November 1st. All the Christmas music started on the radio and everything.
Oh yeah.
So, yeah, I'm in the season. I'm feeling it.
Tear down your skeleton
Like-
decorations and replace them with reindeer. Snap,
Nah.
snap.
Like
this is
it
New
or-
Jersey. You
like
just put
it
your
or
Christmas
not.
lights right over the skeleton.
It's a Christmas skeleton. It's a ghost of future past or whatever.
Past, yeah. Future past.
That's an X-Men episode, isn't it?
Make like a leave and get out of here. Oh, wait, that's a tree, stupid. You make like a leave and get out of here.
I heard my kid over the last week explaining to his brother and sister that Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer is made up because Santa's 8 reindeer do not have shiny red noses. That's just a song for the commercials or whatever. I'm like, okay. So I guess
So-
Rudolph is not canon in my house.
Huh. So they're denying a different reindeer. Maybe he
Is there someone setting a bad example in your house, Dan?
I don't know.
They should be inclusive of all the reindeers of all the different
no
colors.
matter what they have on their nose.
Right.
I think there's just Old Testament reindeer in this house.
Just Old Testament reindeer.
Oy vey.
Tonight's movie was Scrooged from 1988. Bill Murray. George, you'd not seen this one before, right?
I had not.
I also had not. This was
I thought I might.
Uh-oh.
I thought I might had, but
Maybe that's why
I
you're
had not.
nauseous.
Maybe.
This was one of those double blinds where Travis brings in a movie that neither one of us has seen. So, Travis, you
that
doing
always
good,
ends well.
man?
What's that?
You doing well tonight, man? You ready to go?
I'm doing good. Does this mean I'm going to be on point? I gotta.
Are you ready
You're
to
MCing tonight.
ready to defend this hill that is
I hope it's
Scrooge?
more like a Jaws and less of a 12 Monkeys. But okay, yeah, I'm ready. I'm on the hill and I got the gauntlet gun going.
Why was the fish called Wanda?
I guess he named the fish after Wanda because he had a secret crush on her.
Wanda.
That's what. Wanda.
Wanda.
That's what I'm assuming. He named the fish after her because he really loves her.
Right.
But
There
he
you
can't
go.
have
And he
her
really loved the fish.
because she's a manizer.
Well, George, do you have notes for Scrooge, or do you want to just jump right in?
I do. First, I wanted to, because my first note is Dan is already offended that the elves are little people. And so I wanted to, and
They have to work too.
that made me kind of want to jump into and ask you, Dan, tell me all the things in this movie that offended you and ruined it for you.
I thought it was
I
fine.
want to know.
I thought this movie was so much better than A Fish Called Wanda or even Trading Places. I was like, man, this movie's kind of really good.
Okay, because I have a whole list of things here. Hold on.
Oh, jeez.
So, Christmas Past.
Christmas
right?
past, yes. Buster Poindexter.
Can you? He was drinking and driving, was he not?
He looked like Tom Waits.
Yes, he did.
I kind of wished it was Tom Waits playing that part, but yeah, no, it was.
Oh, this is a good time to say. Do you know who was supposed to play that part?
No, who?
Sam Kinison was on board, pretty much signed to play that part.
Sam Kinison.
That would have been
Stand-up comedian.
great.
That would have been amazing.
But this was
I want
fine.
Kinison.
This was
No,
good. That
it
guy
was fine.
did a good job. Less shrieky than Sam Kinison would have been.
Yeah, but I remember Sam Kinison in Back to School as the history teacher, and
I'm still trying to place Sam Kinison.
he's a comedian you need to look up.
Okay.
He's dead now, but he was iconic in the late 80s, early 90s.
Okay. All the good comedians are dead.
Yeah. But I when I heard that, on top of the other thing I heard that about 60% of this movie is on the cutting room floor.
Mm.
And I'm like, that's what I want to see, that DVD. I want to see the stuff that they didn't use.
So anyways, drinking and driving is a very serious matter. It took me right out. Right. I was just done at that point. I had already seen 2 things that offended me. And then Christmas Present. and with the domestic violence, you know, it just, there are men out there suffering. And because their fairy godmothers are violent. And I don't think it's very funny. And again, I am offended.
Bitch hit me with a toaster.
She did.
That's a good line. I don't know why I like that line so much, because it's very descriptive of the thing that just happened, but it was fun.
What's funny is she's like basically Glenda the Good Witch.
Yeah.
Even like in her delivery, the way she talks.
Did she just, all right, is this the same actor, or does this character just remind me of the witch? She wasn't really a witch. She was the
Princess
wife.
Bride?
Yes.
Yes.
Is that her?
Same woman.
Same
yes.
person? Okay, very good. I wasn't sure if just the character reminded me of her, or if it was the same
basically
person.
there was a show called Taxi that was on in the 80s, late 70s,
I think
early
I
80s.
know of it.
A lot of great actors on there. She was on
Okay.
there. She played Andy Kaufman's wife, Latka's wife.
Mm-hmm.
She basically plays this character as his wife.
Gotcha.
You know, that pitchy kind of the same as not as witchy as she is in Princess Bride,
Right.
but the same voice. She's
Right.
very good. Carol Kane.
I love her.
Yes.
I love her. I just wish she wouldn't be so violent. But well, we'll bring this shtick back around at some point.
I wish we didn't, but okay.
I laughed and said, "Ha, fake ass alligator."
What, the Robert Goulier? How do you say it? Goulier?
Robert Goulet. Ruined for my generation by Will Ferrell, which I don't know if you were still
Yes.
watching SNL at that point,
Right.
Travis, but our introduction as kids of the 90s was Will Ferrell over-singing everything as Robert
See,
Goulet.
for me, what's funny about him and with this movie in general is 88 was the year of Beetlejuice as well. So Robert Goulier was one of the guests at the party in Beetlejuice, so that's how I knew him.
Yeah, that's fair.
I'm sure that's how my my wife knows him too.
Yeah, he was kind of, I don't know exactly what he was famous for, but he was kind of like a word cleaver type singer type guy. I don't know.
I don't even know who he is. I just know that.
Well, you know he's in the bayou doing Christmas carols.
Well, now I do. Yeah.
The first 5 minutes of this movie, you got to be patient for the
Yes.
first, at least the first minute and a half while they get their feet under them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the feel I got, it had a RoboCop feel.
Absolutely.
The commercials, like even
Yep.
after this, like it just had
Mhm.
that propaganda, satirical thing that RoboCop does and what Starship Troopers does,
Mhm.
which I love. And the fact that Lee Majors, which was like the Schwarzenegger of the 80s, the early 80s, you know, he's the
Yeah.
$6 million man, he's the fall guy.
Yep.
Like to have him, I guess it would be equivalent to maybe like a Jason Statham or like a Vin Diesel or The Rock
Yeah, I was gonna say Dwayne Johnson.
pushing the hood back and it's him.
Yeah. For
Well, I just
for
like that
today.
he's
for 30
identified
seconds.
as the actor's name. That was the part
Right.
that really tripped me
Lee
up. Was just
Majors.
like, oh my
Yeah.
God, he's playing himself rescuing, spoiler alert, Santa Claus from whoever it is he's with a minigun. Like, oh, jeez.
Oh yeah,
Louise.
he had the little helicopter gun, and then
So
they had
good.
the Sarah Connor cache of weapons in the back. I mean, it's
Mhm.
So silly.
and what's funny is Richard Donner, the director, he's the one that he's done Lethal Weapon and what was the other one? Didn't we do one of his movies?
Well, he did The Omen.
He Die Hard, right? No, it wasn't Die Hard. That was the other guy.
But no, The Omen by
Oh, The Omen was
Dick
Donner,
Donner,
that's
which
right.
is amazing to think of him going from The Omen to Superman to this.
To this, yeah.
Dude did not miss.
Well, he did Goonies as well.
Yeah, a lot of range.
Yeah.
And then Father Loves Beaver. I mean,
There was another Goonies actor in this movie, wasn't there?
I don't
The
think
old
so.
lady.
oh yeah. The
Oh,
mean
yeah, the-
old
the-
lady.
Yeah.
The
Mhm.
homeless woman, yeah,
Mhm.
or houseless, or whatever you want.
She's
to
wonderful. Oh God, Scream Factory. Our good friends over at Scream Factory, friends of the show, Scream Factory,
Mhm.
just put out one of a movie featuring her. Deadly Friend. Have you ever seen
Yes,
Deadly Friend?
yes. Christy Swanson.
Just came out on Blu-ray. I'd seen one clip of it. You know the one.
the clip.
The clip.
The basketball clip, yeah.
With her from the Goonies. And so I finally got to sit down and watch that movie. And I got to say, it's the best robot having an orgasm with the wall outlet I've ever seen.
Wow.
I saw that when I was a kid.
Can we watch that for the show? I mean, spoiler alert
Maybe.
for the wall outlet orgasm and the basketball scene, but
I have not seen that movie probably in 35 years. So
it doesn't hold up,
Down.
but at the same time,
no.
damn, it's so good.
I remember going back and watching that because she was Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Right.
Once she became
Not
that was
the
like her
old homeless
big thing.
lady, but Christy
No.
Swanson.
Christy Swanson.
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh, she's in this movie? So we went back and watched it. I'm like, oh my God, I did see this a long time ago. And it was, it's so 80s bad. But
It's like
good.
Silent
It's like
Night,
good
Deadly
bad.
Night levels of
Yeah.
bad. It's so much fun. We don't have to watch that one, but anytime you want to watch Deadly Friend, George, we're in.
All right, sounds good.
Live stream. Whoop, whoop.
Oh, God.
I need to have more wisdom teeth out.
Mm.
That was the last time we did a live stream. And it was just me on drugs
It was
watching
just you
TV.
sitting there watching TV. I'm
Well,
at
you know,
work watching you watch a movie.
Brass Against is maybe looking for new members if you want to do a live stream.
Well, anyway.
Next
Anyway.
note.
Big fan.
My next note happens in the boardroom scene, and it's just it's a very general, like how entertaining the main character is.
Yeah.
And the acting
Such an asshole.
of it.
Yeah.
You mean
He's
that
so,
William
he's so
Murphy?
Good.
He's a pretty funny dude, that William Murphy.
He's so good at being bad. He's so good at everything.
Yeah.
Like the way it's so good.
Pretty much every movie he's in, he plays a different level of a dick. Like even in Ghostbusters, he's kind of a dick.
And he's like charming, but
Yeah.
not like
He's charming, right?
He's charming to women, but like in an abusive way. Like
yeah, it's like like
he-
harassment type way.
It's toxic. Everything he does is toxic charming. He's horrible, and I love him.
He's the
I don't know
nicest
why.
in Caddyshack, I believe. He's so he's so ready to. Oh, Mrs. Green, you're a monkey woman.
Yeah, well, yeah. Bill Murray is just very, very
He's a
entertaining
treasure.
to watch.
He's a treasure.
Very entertaining.
What about Bob? Will be on our list at one
Bobcat.
point. We
Oh,
have to watch, but well, no, the movie. What about Bob? We'll get the Bobcat, but What About Bob is him almost at his prime. Like
I've definitely
best.
seen that.
it's him and Dreyfus, and it's
Yeah, I've
from
definitely
beginning
seen
to
that.
end. It's just gold.
Yeah. I agree. I like that movie.
Yeah.
It was a long time ago, but I loved it.
it's like they strip away all of the thing about Ghostbusters in this movie. So many of the movies have like this one conceit, Caddyshack with its goofy golf stuff, and What About Bob? It's just like they've stripped that all away, and it's just Bill Murray, right?
Yeah, and
the
he's actually
conceit is just
acting in that movie.
Bill Murray, like, oh, he's so
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, it's one of my favorites. Do you want to talk about Bobcat?
We got to
For
talk about
a minute.
Bobcat. Do you have a Bobcat impression? I imagine you do.
Oh my God, dude. When I was growing up, my dad was you constantly make me do Bobcat Goldthwait from like Police Academy. Like, hi. I can't do it now because I don't have the voice. I'm a real jerk, you know.
I had
You
a
don't know
feeling
who
he
you're
was in there
dealing
somewhere.
with. Like
So
he was
good.
so funny. Yeah, you've never seen Police Academy, have you, George?
No, I
Okay.
haven't.
Well, he's in the second one, and he plays about this character at 11.
Okay.
He's like a biker, and he's like, "Rah!" He's like just crazy, and he goes at it with this guy Sweet Chuck the whole movie, and Sweet Chuck is kind of like this little geeky guy, and it's funny. It's funny, but it's like airplane funny. It's not like a good comedy funny.
Okay.
But it's funny. It's definitely funny.
Are we still talking about Bill Murray here?
No, we're talking about the guy with the rifle.
The guy with the rifle. Okay.
The guy that gets fired.
Milkman.
What's his name?
Milk.
It's something milk.
Something
Milk
milk.
something.
Yeah, and he calls him Milkman.
Yeah.
We'll go back to him. He's good shit.
And it's a shotgun, not a rifle, but whatever.
Yes.
I recognized his voice. But you know what I recognized his voice from? One of my favorite Disney movies. And I don't even know if he just sounds like it, but
Is it Hercules?
it's Hercules,
Yeah.
right? Because he's Panic in Hercules, right?
I
He's
believe
Pain in Hercules.
Pain.
Is he Pain?
Pain.
Well, Pain and Panic are kind of like a duo
There you go.
in that movie.
That's true.
He was on Unhappily Ever After, I think is where
Mhm.
I knew him from as a kid. Because
He was the voice of the puppet.
he was amazing. Still is
Mhm.
amazing.
He is amazing. There's another movie called One Crazy Summer.
Mm-hmm.
It's a John Cusack movie, early John Cusack. And that's another one that he's prominent in. And so is Bill Murray's brother, who's also in this movie. I think it's John Murray.
Brian.
It's Ken Murray.
No, I think Brian
It's
Murray
Joe
is his
Murray.
oldest brother. He's the one who
It's
plays his father in this
Joe
movie.
Murray. It's Ted Murray.
There's a
The
lot
young-
of Murrays.
The two brothers, his two
Yeah.
brothers, are the scene in the living room when they're doing the SS Minnow,
Mm-hmm.
the trivia.
Yeah.
His brother that he gave a VCR to,
Mm-hmm.
he's
That his ex
John.
secretary or whatever.
The other brother, who's not his brother in this movie, but is his brother in real life,
Mm-hmm.
is Joel. Joel is in One Crazy Summer.
Okay.
And that still neglects Brian Doyle Murray, who is his older brother, who you've seen before, George, as
Many
Mr. Vanderhoff, Noah Vanderhoff in Wayne's World,
Mm-hmm.
the station owner, or
Yeah.
the arcade owner, the arcade owner in Wayne's World. And he's
Mhm.
Frank Shirley from Christmas Vacation, who gets kidnapped from his home and wrapped up with a
Yes.
bow by Cousin Eddie.
Yes. Yep. Yep.
That's
Yep.
Bill Murray's oldest brother.
Oh,
Brian Doyle. He plays his father in this movie.
shit. Okay.
Yeah, that's 5 pounds
Right.
of veal. You know?
Right. Yeah.
So good.
I'm
I love-
4 years old.
I love I love how at the end, or like at the end of that scene when the ghost is like, saying, so it's Niagara Falls, and he's
Niagara
like, no, I
Falls,
just had a
Frankie
moment,
Angel.
like I just received what in today's dollars would be 40 pounds worth of milk-fed veal, and it's like that is such a dick.
Yeah.
He's such a dick. I love it so much. I love when he called, or when he didn't call, but some ghost dialed the number for him. But he's leaving a message, and he says, "As I know we haven't talked in," looks at his watch, 15 years. Looks at his watch.
The
So good.
the funniest line in that scene is when Marley, the Marley character, I
yeah,
forget,
yeah.
when he's like Lou, when he says that he was, the women loved him or whatever, and he's like, "Come
Yeah,
on!" Like,
well, yeah.
like that line when he says that, it's so Bill Murray. I wonder if it was improv. It's so funny.
That scene with the Jacob Marley character, who Lou in the movie, my only thought as the scene began was, my God, they sure used a lot of makeup to turn John Forsythe into
Jason
Are you
Voorhees
gonna
from
say
Part 6.
himself?
I was going to say Jack Palance, right? Like,
Yeah.
if
Why didn't
I
you
did
just
have
hire
to,
Jack Palance?
I had to do a double check because I was like, man, all they did was turn that guy into Jack Palance. Like, they could have
Yeah.
saved a lot of money if they would have just.
That makeup was good.
It was good, man. The rat, ugh, gross.
The golf ball in his mouth. Another thing with him,
In
when
his head, you
when
mean?
he drops the golf ball and it bounces on the glass, because it's a golf ball, it's gonna pretty much keep its same height the first 5 bounces.
Yeah, it keeps.
He, after the second bounce, he gives that ball an eyeball. Like, he looks at it as it bounces up. Watch that scene again. It's really funny. Like, his reaction, because he pulls it out of his mouth
Mm-hmm.
and he's like, oh, and then he drops it, and then it bounces once head level,
Mm-hmm.
hits the glass, comes up again head level,
Mm-hmm.
and he watches the ball go down again. Like, are you serious? This ball just bounced in my frame twice. Yeah, it's a good line, or a good
Yeah.
what do we call it? Glance.
Yeah.
He's just always playing that. Even when he's not saying words, he's playing a dick.
Yeah, he's in the
Yeah,
character.
he's in
totally.
the character.
Even when he does something off the cuff, it's
Mhm.
in the character. This can someone explain to me the Richard Pryor joke?
Oh, around that time, Richard Pryor was lit himself on fire when smoking crack.
Ah, I knew that.
So when he says,
Yeah,
"I thought
think
you were Richard
we
Pryor,"
actually talked about it, and it might
Yeah,
Yeah.
I knew that.
might
I
be
knew
on the
that.
cutting room floor of the episode when Richard was on.
Mm.
Or maybe it was Blake. I don't know. One of the ones it came up in a hurry, and I think we dumped it.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, I laughed out loud even harder than I normally would have because, oh my God, we just talked about this. And now,
Yeah.
poor
I
Richard
was like,
Pryor.
oh, wow. Between the Richard Pryor joke and Mary Lou Retton, this movie did not age well. But
God.
everything else does.
The Mary Lou Retton cracks me up, but yeah.
What's the Mary Lou Retton? What's
In the
going on with
early,
that?
mid-'80s, mid to late 80s, she was like an Olympian that was basically the Michael Jordan of the Olympics. Like she's
the
Tiny Tim in
she's
the show.
No, yeah, I know that, but she's the Simone Biles of
Yes.
88.
Yes.
Okay.
So her being in the show is like a get. It's a get.
Yeah.
But nowadays people don't even know. Like she was on every magazine cover.
Because nobody knows
she
who
was like
she is now.
Bruce Jenner of her time.
Right.
Yeah, one thing about this movie that I think is going to hold it back for a lot of audiences, there are so many to 1988 like tied references that if you're not willing to do the legwork, you're just going to blow right by him and be like, okay, Richard Pryor, all right, Mary Lou.
Like his brother says, like the whole VCR undertone, like I should be taping this. Like, like people don't even say that anymore. Unless you're my age, people still say, I'm gonna, instead of using the DVR, they'll say I'm taping it, but you're recording it. But DVR is the term.
You're not even recording it. It's just
Well, and if you notice, he never calls it a VCR. He calls it a VHS player.
Right.
Because the format war is still going on. George, do you know about the format war?
Oh.
I guess I'm going to learn.
So do you remember when DVD was around and then they were like, oh, okay, what's next? Is it Blu-ray or is it HD DVD? Were you paying attention then?
Yeah,
it was like
familiar.
a maroon box. It was HD.
Been like 2004, 2005 as they're fighting it out to figure out what the next HD format would be.
I'm familiar. Yep.
Back in the late 70s, Sony had one called Betamax, and there was a competing one. I think it was Panasonic came up with VHS. And VHS was a lower quality, supposedly, product, but it had features that made it more mass market appeal, easier to record over, I understand, although the quality of it maxes out lower than Beta. Also, for whatever reason, pornography became really popular on VHS and wasn't as popular on Beta, and a lot of people will point to that as like the defining thing that pushed the kind of
doesn't make sense because a
market.
Beta tape is smaller. So you can fit more in your trunk underneath your bed.
Yeah, I'll take your word for it. I wasn't there
I don't
yet,
have it under the bed, but I'm just saying back then that's where you found it.
You could fit more in your theoretical trunk under your theoretical bed.
The theoretical,
in theory.
Right, in theory.
You would think the physics work.
But now, by 88, it was almost over. You were about 2 or 3 years from the time that Sony eventually gave in and started making their own VHS players.
Well, 88 is about when Laserdisc started being like $900 a piece.
Yeah.
Like 88, 89. And then that was like for a hot second, the Laserdisc was the thing. And then DVDs finally.
Now, have you ever seen a Laserdisc, George?
Yeah. I watched I believe it was Aliens on Laserdisc.
The Criterion, the 4-disc Criterion where you had to flip the disc over twice.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah,
at the time, I didn't know. I had never heard of a Laserdisc before.
Well, back in that day, like 91, you'd go in the Suncoast and you'd look through the Laserdisc like records.
Yeah,
and the prices were no lower than like $70.
Jesus.
For a Laserdisc. Now I can get them for $1 at the flea market. But,
right. Yeah.
You know, if you got a Criterion, like I have the Criterion of Jurassic Park, that thing was like $120.
Jeez Louise.
Yeah.
And they still make great Blu-rays, and they just are switching over to 4K Criterion. So if you want to start a physical collection, George, that's a good place to start. They've been around forever, and they're pretty good. Now, one thing that I think is interesting, and I don't know how intentional it was because I wasn't in the room when they wrote this, but in 88, when you're calling it a VHS specifically, that is still kind of the lower tier of the two. Like, by being so specific that it's either a towel or a VHS player, I can't read into it. Is that like the better of the two gifts, or is that still like not all that great? You know, like I don't know how to read that as his character, because he is kind of a jerk.
Could you
right?
Could you say it's better than the towel, but he's still too cheap to give him a Betamax.
Right. He's still not going full Laserdisc
Yeah.
player, right?
Well,
Right,
I'm going by
exactly.
The Wedding Singer, and I think when the Julia Guglia's boyfriend buys a VHS player, it's like an $800 VHS player. So I don't know if it was Panasonic or what, but the price tag he says is mind-boggling. So even though it might have been a low end that he was given to his brother by accident, it's
I was gonna say, you keep saying he gave it to his brother, his secretary.
Grace gave it to him. Right?
Yes.
But yeah, I'm assuming even at low end that thing costs about $250.
I love how he looks at the disc. He looks at the list and he's like, most of these people are towels. That's how I feel sometimes.
Now I have to kill every one of you.
So funny.
Hey guys, do you think when they went in the taxi cab, the time traveling taxi cab, do you think they went to 1955 on purpose?
This is what, like 4 years after?
It's only
Back to
3
the
years
Future?
after. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Is
possible.
that just a coincidence?
I don't know.
I don't know. I
man.
saw 1955 and I was like, but
Great
Was
Scott.
that
they're gonna.
Tell me that wasn't the first scene where you teared up a little bit
What scene?
when he says goodnight to his mom.
I don't think. Well, I
She
didn't.
calls
well,
him Frankie Angel, and like when
well,
you
first
think
of
about
all,
not having a relationship with your father, and the only thing he does give you for Christmas is veal, and then he falls asleep on the chair, and then your mom has to put her cigarette out, even though she's pregnant, and
Yeah.
go to work at like 8 o'clock at night on Christmas or something.
Yeah.
It was real shitty.
First of all, I don't tear up easily. So, no, I didn't tear up.
That doesn't surprise me. Go on.
However, we'll get to it. We'll get there.
Okay.
We'll talk about it a little later. Put a pin in it.
Put a pin in that.
Did anybody laugh out loud when he flipped off the old lady after he stole her taxi?
Yes. Yes.
When was the last time you had to flip off an old lady, guys?
I drive a lot, so
Oh, I
felt like
forget
it was-
Jersey.
yeah.
Oh man, my wife, man. she can
She's the silent.
she can hear us, and
yeah.
she often messages us on a group chat.
She didn't chime in when we talked about Jamie Lee Curtis's boobs, but she's chiming in about this.
She says, "Haven't seen him tear up since the finale of Les Miserables."
Ms. Zabaloui?
A couple of movies made me tear up
My life. My life will get you.
with honors.
With honors. Holy shit.
Yep.
And what's the one that's like with honors? School Ties is another one. But with honors, when he says you graduated with life with honors,
Yep.
oh, every time, man. Niagara Falls, Frankie
Niagara,
Angel, every
dude,
time.
it's like Niagara Falls every time I watch that movie, bro.
Yeah, that's Pesci's best work, I think, is that movie.
Well, forget it.
All right.
While we're talking about tearing up, I didn't tear up, but at the very end, the monologue,
Yes.
like, okay, so first of all,
When the little kid talks, that's big.
yeah,
But it's kind of cliche.
that was kind of, you knew what was going to happen. It was kind of like cliche, like you said.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
But
it's from
he
the
goes-
original text, too. I mean,
Right, of
Right.
course. When he's monologuing at the end, it's silly, right?
I think it's all off the cuff.
It starts off
Most of it.
silly, like very silly,
Mhm.
and you're like, this guy is off his rocker. Like, I get that he's come to this new realization after
Burning in the
a
casket will do that to you.
That was such a dark
Yeah.
scene and so powerful. I loved it.
Mhm.
And then the elevator doors open.
But
And the dude is still there with the rifle. It's so so good. But anyway, at the end, the very end monologue, it transforms from this silly thing into this like serious thing.
Right.
And I'm like,
the moral of the
holy
story.
crap.
Yeah.
Bill Murray's like hitting all. He's everything.
Mhm.
He is everything.
Yep.
Every facet of this character that this character can hit, he's hitting it.
And
So
it's
good.
weird because he's such a clown that you're almost like you're laughing even at the serious parts, like you're like, oh, look at him. But then you're like, wait, no, he's really hitting me with some really heavy shit.
He was really hitting you at the end, for real.
And what sucks, to be consistent, that scene where he's burning in the casket, annoying Travis gets taken out of the scene just a little bit because his brother's makeup was off. It was bad. Like, he looked like, almost like a school play. When they make a high school kid look like a grandfather. Yeah. Like, I'm like, damn, they did such great makeup on everything. The special effects, the practicals in this movie are incredible. And then that one scene his brother has standing, the most serious scene where he's standing in his brother's casket, and they go and they use Elmer's glue for his wrinkles. And I'm just like, seriously. But didn't take me out too much because it's still a powerful scene.
I didn't even notice it, but when I was watching it, the feeling that I got was, wow, this is dark.
Yeah.
This is dark. Worse than any Ghost of Christmas future death scenes.
Right. Well, they had
in any of these.
They had to one up the Ebenezer being taken to his own headstone. Like, that's the iconic scene is him seeing his own name on the headstone.
Right. And this just over the top and very, very dark.
Like him trying to keep that casket from going in the fire. Yeah.
So good.
Yeah.
Well, and they do such a good job slightly earlier when he meets the TV version of the Ghost of Christmas Future in the elevator. God, I about peed my pants. I was laughing so hard at that part. Because you know what it is, but it's just his reaction. He sells it so hard. Oh, my God.
Very hard. Watch that scene again.
So funny.
He elbows what's her name in the face.
Oh, no.
Great Grace. Yeah, go watch that scene again. Yeah. Full elbow in the face.
Oh, that's awful.
Like, her reaction is real.
Yeah.
His reaction to the guy in the elevator is perfect.
So big.
It's so good that you miss the fact that he elbows her in the face.
Oh, jeez Louise.
Yeah, it's a shame. I feel bad. So her reaction is real. And apparently he ripped his lip when Carol Kane is pulling his lip.
Uh-huh.
That piece of skin that goes from your lip to your gum.
Yeah.
Ew.
She ripped that.
Ugh.
That's how method she is.
Yikes.
Yeah, they had to stop filming for the day, I read. That's crazy.
Ow.
Yeah, ow.
But yeah, speaking of hitting the face, the part with the sensor. I don't know why that is such a funny
look out.
physical gag.
No, heads up. It's the heads up scene. Like when after he does the whole nipple conversation and then the guys turn to leave.
See, and these guys are really looking.
These guys are really looking. Apparently that you can hardly even see that nipple. That's apparently an improv line. So then Bill Murray, being Bill Murray, follows that with, then they're not even really looking. Yeah.
No, and they're really looking.
Yeah, they're really giving it their all to try to find those nipples, and they just can't find them.
Yeah, they're
and
barely
they're
there.
Poking out at the top.
Barely there.
That's pretty funny.
And then she gets smacked in the face, which for whatever reason, the timing of the scene is just really good. Like it made me guffaw. Well, then, did you catch who the nurse is?
Yes.
I had to pause it. I was like, honey, I'm pausing this. I think that's now, George. Have you ever watched Drew Carey?
Yeah,
Drew Carey show. It's Mimi from Drew Carey show.
Mimi's the nurse.
Yeah, I know.
I had to pause it to IMDb check. I was like, I think that's Mimi. And Moon over Parma, and it was.
But what makes that funny is he doesn't skip a beat when they turn, and he's like, "Oh, look out!" Goes, it's like very monotone, almost like Willy Wonka, kind of. No, don't stop.
Right.
It was that kind of monotone when he said it, and then he just ducks, and he doesn't really warn her. She takes that lamp right in the face.
Well, I almost thought I didn't understand whether they were there with the pole for the sole purpose of knocking her out with it.
Well, they're moving set pieces. It's like a gaslight corner lamppost.
Right.
For
I wasn't sure
Dickens.
if Bill Murray's character wanted to knock her out.
Oh, right, because she was censoring everything,
and that was his way of doing it without getting in trouble, or if that was just like
that was
accident.
His version of heads up.
Right.
And then because he follows it without skipping a beat, he's like, "Great guys, get the nurse."
Yeah.
Like that's a line. That's one of the lines that's very quotable. Like you say that whenever someone gets hurt, you say that. That whole scene has a lot of them.
And the hammer.
Have
the
you
hammer
tried
scene.
Staples? The
Have you
hammers.
tried Staples?
My sister and I, whenever someone was being loud, my sister and I would do that. Would you hold the goddamn hammering, please?
Yeah, I had a feeling we were going to hear that one tonight. When we were watching that scene, I was like, oh, Travis is going to pull that one out.
That's quotable. Big time. The have you tried Staples? Like you say that whenever someone's like complaining about doing something, you're like, well, have you tried Staples?
Have you tried Staples? I like how he brings that up in the monologue at the end too. Just hours ago, I was suggesting stapling antlers to the mouth. Or whatever.
Oh, and then he turns her head. When he's like, should I turn? He already turned her head, and he's like, should I turn her head?
Should
and
I not have done
that?
Like,
no. And he's like, look, you can hardly even see him. Yeah, that's I really, this is the kind of movie where I would love to sit down with the script and go page by page and see what's in it and what's not, because he apparently helped rewrite a lot of the scenes.
No raspberry at the end.
Oh my god, that was so funny.
That's something I do to everybody now.
Yeah, when he gave Goldthwait the raspberry at the end. Watch that again, because Bill Murray's he laughs like he can't believe he just did that to him. Like I think that was improv as well.
Oh crap!
Like there's a scene in Weird Science, I don't know if we pointed it out, where Bill Paxton's got them all in the kitchen, and he says something to Lisa, and you can tell like Anthony Michael Hall just starts. He looks at the floor. He just starts laughing.
Right.
Like to me, I love that shit. Jimmy Fallon does it all the time. Whenever someone gets him the break on Saturday Night Live,
he's famous for not being able to.
But that's the whole thing. That SNL thing. The writers of this movie are from SNL.
Right.
Like that whole environment, you can tell they're just trying to. And I, from what I hear, he didn't have as much fun because Donner wasn't really getting the jokes. He wasn't really understanding how comedy works.
Oh, boo.
So that's why I said there's a lot of it ended up on the cutting room floor. That's the movie I want to see.
Yeah, same.
So they have the lunch meeting where he's going to meet the so
Robert frickin' Mitchum's in this movie.
So they have the lunch meeting, and I'm sitting there watching. I'm like, okay, cool. All right, we're watching this movie. And then the score hits for just a half a bar. And I'm just like, that's the Batman score. And I look it up, I'm like, oh, shit, it's Danny Elfman. No, for real, though. That's like, he uses that again in the Batman score the next year. So I did not expect to get Proto-Batman score in this movie. Oh, my gosh, guys. And actually, that whole scene, if you look at the set dressing and stuff of that place they're having the lunch meeting, it feels like it could be a set from the Batman movie.
Yeah.
That's
there's
cool.
a lot of visuals that call back, and the sound. Like I know when they brought Goldthwait out, they fired him, they dropped him in the street. It was almost like the same exact Trading Places scene where they pick Eddie Murphy up off the ground, like the cops on either side of him. But the music, the la 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 la. He actually used that in Batman Returns too. So it's like Elfman. This movie is Elfman fleshing out his composing, because he really didn't do. What else did he do?
He did Beetlejuice.
He did Beetlejuice, which was
he did The Simpsons, which would have been around this time.
Yeah, but and I mean, prior to
did he do Pee-wee? Was he in Pee-wee?
Yes, he did Pee-wee.
So there, I mean it's a good start. So another thing that George probably isn't aware of, although we might have mentioned it during the Batman episode, not too long before they make this movie, George, Bill Murray is a leading candidate to play Batman.
I can see it.
And if you think about how manic he was at that lunch scene, again, you want to get nuts? Come on, let's get nuts, right? Like, I mean, you can see it might have worked. I'm glad they went with Keaton in the end, Yes. But like at the same time, Bill Murray is bigger. I don't know about that hairline, but well,
he has the same hairline as Keaton.
Bill Murray would make a good Joker.
They were talking about him playing the Riddler.
Or I was gonna say Riddler, Two-Face,
and then Robin
any of
Williams came out in discussion to play the Riddler back then because he
makes a lot of sense.
He was doing he did a lot of movies that were showing his psychotic, like 1 Hour Photo and Insomnia and all that stuff. And it's like he's showing his range. You see him in Dead Poet Society, like all these movies. You realize, oh, he's goofy Rob Williams and he's crazy on the stage, but dude's got range like Pacino, De Niro type, chops.
Right.
So yeah, I think Mary's up there, definitely up there.
Well, and his late career has been a lot more drama.
Mm-hmm.
Still doing silly stuff and a lot of cameos, but he's pulled off some real good dramatic roles, won some awards. Like people know.
Yeah,
he was in Space Jam.
He was in Space Jam.
And
he was.
Let's not miss the Baked Alaska guys
on the golf course, I believe.
Right.
I mean, I don't know about y'all, but as a child of the 90s, watching the old Batman TV show on the Family Channel, the only place this Midwestern child ever heard of Baked Alaska was in a Batman 66 episode. So that's kind of a fun little Batman connection.
Baked Alaska, the only connection I have to it is from the Little Orphan Annie. Baked Alaska was on the menu that one night at Daddy Warbucks' palace.
There you go.
Mm.
That's the only time I've ever heard of Baked Alaska outside of this movie.
Now, Bill Murray took like 4 years off after Ghostbusters, which was 83 or 84, I think. So he hadn't done anything after Ghostbusters until he did this.
Okay.
And then he did a couple like small parts, like he was in Little Shop of Horrors and can't remember one other thing, but it was like a bit part. So this was like his time. This was his movie back. From, I guess, hiatus.
Yeah. Interesting.
I want to take 4 years off. That sounds sweet. An entire high school period of nothing. Yes.
Well, when you get Ghostbusters money, you can take 4 years off.
Damn. Okay, guys, we need to get Ghostbusters money.
Yeah.
Imagine how much you could learn in 4 years if you didn't have to like deal with anything else.
Yeah, right.
Be like, pursue whatever you want for 4 years.
I'd be driving out to Pittsburgh and enlisting in the Tom Savini School of Special Effects Makeup Artists.
And I know that what I just described sounds like college, but that is totally wasted on the young.
Yeah.
That 4 years of free play, free parking.
Free parking.
You
should
free
get that
parking?
4 years.
Man, we never got free parking.
You should get that I mean, I'm talking about like free parking in the
grand sense,
the monopoly sense.
Gotcha.
Right.
You should get 4 years of free parking in like your late 30s. You know what I mean?
You really need to save the money.
When you really need it.
When you got kids.
When you got to like, work some shit out in your life,
Yeah, that lunch scene was weird.
Didn't really fit the movie, but like it felt like Batman, so I was on board. Like, all right.
The eyeball in the glass, and then apparently when he falls, leaving the room, like that was an accident, and they kept it.
I thought that.
Yeah, it was a real fall.
I thought that looked genuine.
Yeah, it was a real fall. But yeah, the Richard Pryor joke, I was like, I laughed too, and I forgot about it, and then I'm like, wow, like this generation doesn't even know who Richard Pryor is.
I know who Richard Pryor is.
Edgy. He was edgy.
Yeah. But he was likable. So he was kind of like Chris Rock and Chappelle. Like,
yeah,
they're able to toe the line and just smack you in the face. Most of the time. Not anymore, apparently. But, yeah, scratch that, I guess, anymore. But he was able to say things that most people weren't.
Of course.
So what do you think, George? Scrooged, is it a winner?
Absolutely. What do you think, Dan?
I liked it too, man. I thought it was great. I don't know if it's going to be one that in 20 years anybody younger than us is ever going to watch, because it is kind of tied to this era that we only know from like stories our parents told us. But, it's one of the better Christmas carols I've seen. And it isn't a period piece. So it doesn't like, I don't like period pieces in general. So it doesn't like take the extra bit of like effort from me to like, okay, we're going to be in the 1890s. Like Yeah, I like it. I like the way they
Mm.
presented it. I thought they interspersed today, or the today of the 80s, with the old-timey stuff for the play really well. Thought they used
Yeah.
the text well. It might be my second favorite Christmas Carol behind Mr. Magoo.
Wow.
Mr. Magoo, huh?
That one has the feelings, man, for a little cartoon.
This one I watch pretty much every year. This movie. This and Muppet Christmas Carol.
Yeah, I can't. I
And-
have to.
and
I have to
then
think
Otter.
about which one I like better. Between
We
this
didn't
and
even
the
talk
Muppets.
about Karen Allen.
How did we not talk about Karen Allen?
Like she's amazing in this
Who
movie.
is she? Is she the?
She's
Claire.
Claire. Yeah.
yeah, she's amazing.
She's awesome. And I loved her in Indiana Jones, and I loved her in
She reminds me.
Starman.
She reminds me of my wife a lot.
She does remind me
Amazing.
of Meg. There's a few actresses that remind me of Meg. Katherine Hagel kind of reminds me of Meg as well.
She's nodding approvingly.
Yeah. And Gina Davis, for some reason, reminds me of Meg a bit.
I have to look her up.
Young Gina Davis.
Hmm.
But yeah, Karen Allen. If you like her, and there's a movie called Starman. We might watch it, but it's her. It's a John Carpenter movie.
Okay.
She's
But
good
it's-
in it, but I didn't.
I think Bridges is good in it.
He goes.
No?
I mean, I don't know, man. It was.
Well, on your own time, George.
We can watch it someday. Season 15.
I own it. You can borrow it.
We'll do it for our Patreon.
Season 15. Right after Silent Night, Deadly Night Part 5.
Yeah. Ooh.
No, like I said, we should do it for our Patreon.
Yeah, we'll do it for our Patreon.
Yeah.
I like it.
Once we have one.
It was all right.
But-
It was better than I thought it would be.
I'm a kid of the 80s, so that movie was out when, I don't know if it was 85. So I was 10. So that was my wheelhouse.
Well, I
that
mean,
kind
if
of
you
movie.
were 11 or 12 watching that movie, Karen Allen's going to sell you on that movie, whether or not it's a good movie.
But I always liked Jeff Bridges, too. When I saw him, I think my introduction to him was the remake of King Kong. So ever since then,
See,
whenever I saw,
you're going to love everything that guy's in. He's in your...
Yeah.
He's let himself into
He's-
your
yeah.
house. He's sleeping on your couch.
Yeah, he was in my house even before he was the dude. Definitely.
That's how I know that name. You keep saying Jeff Bridges, and I'm like, I know that name.
Yeah.
He's Mr. Lebowski.
yes,
Mr. Lebowski.
Mr. Lebowski.
No.
I love him in Iron Man.
I'm the dude. He's Mr. Lebowski.
Right. I'm the dude, man. I'm the dude. I'm gonna work on my Gold weight, and I'm gonna hit you with it later. I don't want to
What?
wake up. I don't want to wake up Eva with my Bob Goldthwait impression.
Oh.
My Bobcat. I'll get it somewhere. Maybe I'll have him and James Gum talk to each other. Maybe I'll have James Gum call Bob Goldthwait on the phone.
They should do the scene between Dimitri and whoever it was that you thought should be on the other end of that call, but it should be
Right.
Bobcat.
Hi. I used to be a real jerk, but now I'm a people guy. I love when he says that. Police Academy next week.
Oh my God. Well,
I
given
didn't
it's the Christmas season, George, should we tell you what we're watching next week?
Yeah, well, I don't know how I'm going to be able to watch it if you don't.
This is true.
That's a fair point. Travis, what are we watching next week?
Shit, I don't know.
Do we give him agency? No. We can't let George pick.
You know what? You guys should have let me put a Christmas list together. of
No,
movies that I wanna
that's
see.
too much power. We don't give you that much.
Well, I mean, it's a wish list.
Well, George, next week, to continue in the Christmas spirit, we're going to be watching a movie called Home Alone. But wait, Dan, I've already seen Home Alone, George said.
I've never heard of it.
Home Alone. There's a new one on Disney Plus. I hear it sucks. Even my kids were like, not as good
Yeah,
as
no.
the real one. Good job,
Watch
kids.
the real ones.
But you've seen Home Alone and Home Alone 2, right, George?
Smart kids. Yes, I have.
Okay, so we're going to have you watch Home Alone again. with your year and a half worth of I've seen movies now knowledge, and see if it plays a little different, see if you catch more references you didn't see before. But we're also going to have you watch an obscure French, and I'm sorry, Travis, subtitled movie called Deadly Games in the U.S., also known as Dial Code Santa, and
I've heard
5
I've
other
seen-
names.
Seen that like 5 times.
You're going to have to
How
get
can you
Shudder
read this?
to watch it because unless you want to buy the 4K from our buddies at Vinegar Syndrome. But I think it's going to open your eyes. Like you might want to have a bucket and a mop for when your mind is blown so you can clean it up real quick.
The only French movie I like is Beauty and the Beast.
Well, the only way I'm going to be buying it from Vinegar Syndrome in 4K is if my brother gifts me a 4K player.
Oh, he was going to, but he sent you an HD DVD player instead.
Womp womp. I got it at a yard
Oh.
sale. They were getting rid of their old
Cross.
media.
It comes with the
Cross.
Blu-ray too. You don't have to watch the 4K.
Okay.
But anyway, in really cool packaging. I highly,
I
if
got
you
a
like
towel.
if you like it, grab it. It's pretty good. But
I got a towel for my brother.
yeah, let's continue the Christmas season with some stuff that everybody's seen with Home Alone and stuff that most people haven't seen yet, which is Deadly Games. Prepare to be
Some-
dazzled.
All right, yeah. Some
Sparkly.
nostalgia and some weird stuff. That's the title of our next episode.
How can you read this? There's no
There's
pictures.
no pictures.
Looks like I'm reading another movie.
Thank you for joining us on the Remedial Film Class podcast. As always, you can find us at facebook.com/remedialfilmpod. Find us at Twitter and Instagram at remedialfilmpod. You can email us at remedialfilmpod@gmail.com. We'll be back next week with the Christmas combo platter of Home Alone and Deadly Games Dial Code Santa.